still coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. Judy, I'm gonna make you a co-host as well in case, so you can admit people. Is that all right? Thank you. Leon's not gonna make it to the first half of the meeting.
Why am I not on visual?
I don't know. What is your?
Did I mess up somewhere?
Can you check your at the bottom left? You see a hash mark over stop video, or you might need to sign out and come back in.
Okay.
How can I admit people? I don't see the.
I'm gonna make you a phone.
Okay.
Right.
I only see the four of us up here as having our video on.
Yeah, because the rest of the people doesn't want to show their face.
I want to show my face.
But then you have to
What am I
find the video. Yeah, there's a button.
Oh,
on the
I see
top.
it. I see it.
Yeah.
Start video.
Are you on your iPad?
There you go.
There you go.
How's that face for a face? Nasty looking.
Good. What a
Hi,
beautiful
Sophia.
moon behind you.
Hello, Leo, Kamina, James. Hi.
Yeah, hi. So we still
Hi, everyone.
coming in. Can I
Good job.
2 more minutes, James?
Are we on the
There,
TV,
I've just
volume?
admitted a lot of people.
Well, I'm so happy it rained yesterday.
Yeah. It's supposed to rain a lot in the next few days.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get that Hawaiian, whatever they call it, Hawaiian
Oh, the pineapple express.
Pineapple Express, whatever.
Hi, Leo, Kamina.
Hello, hi.
I'm gonna use my husband's name. It's my
Oh, okay.
The
Wow.
husband is
I've
in the
never seen you. I only see Jim.
yes.
Good
Hi,
to see you.
James.
Hi, good to see
Oh,
you, DC.
Now, remember, I'm going to be recording this, and we are going to start soon. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Yeah, I'm gonna-
Recording in progress.
So, Judy, I can't even make you a co-host. I can make you a host, but then it won't be. Then I won't be able to do stuff. So, I'll get it. No problem.
That's okay.
We'll turn this over to James soon here, so then you can. Yeah. Okay, shall we start?
I think we're ready. Now they're just trickling in, so I'll keep an eye on this.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad that you could all make it tonight to our very first tour meeting. We're delighted to have with us tonight James Smith, who has been working with us. I think now it's at least 10 years, James.
I think so, yeah.
On a lot of tours, and he's from Encore and Western Regional Director. He's going to talk about the tour. Everyone should also certainly know DC Kim, if you can see DC. DC is our board member who is generally in charge of our tours and does a huge amount of work in terms of preparing and being on the tour as well. We also have Judy here from the office and administrative side, and of course everyone knows Carmina as well.
We also have Shane.
And Shane is here. Shane, there you are. Hi, Shane. So there's a lot of things to talk about, but I'd like James to start, if he doesn't mind, to talk about the tour in general terms and what we can expect. And so I'm going to turn it over to you now, James.
Okay, brilliant. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Leo. What I shall do is, well, firstly say thank you so much, Leo, Carmina, DC, Judy, the whole staff of CYS, and all of you for logging on this evening to listen to what we have in store. It's a great honour for me and our company to work with CYS. CYS, as many of you will know, was one of the first organisations to ever tour overseas, the US, as a youth orchestra. So they have a great history and culture of touring, so it's just fantastic to be a part of that, and fantastic for all you guys as families and as players to be able to be a part of that too, part of that tradition, part of that culture that has been ongoing for so long. And give or take a little blip that we've just had for a year and a half is going to continue to be a great tradition, and it's fantastic that we're doing it again and planning it all again. So what I'll do now, let me start sharing my screen and we'll get stuck into the good stuff.
Shall we mention about the questions?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do, Carmine, if you want.
Yeah. So this is informative for everyone, and I know everyone will have a lot of questions. But what we will do tonight, if you have questions, please send them over the chat as it goes. We won't be answering all your questions tonight, or actually, we won't be answering your questions tonight. But what we'll do is we'll collect these. We're going to send them over to James, and then he'll have a response that we will share with everyone, with the orchestra. Is that clear? That way we can just keep this meeting short, to the point, and because we know everyone will have a lot of questions, and we'll get people in the meeting.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously there's, we'll show all the good stuff, the trip, what's going to happen, what the plan is, and then obviously a lot of people have questions, as we always do, especially about things like insurance, travel, COVID, what happens if, all that kind of stuff. So it's probably best to collate that information and get it out to everyone. And obviously there's no better way to put it in writing, so you've all got it. So as Kamina said, any questions, pop them to her tomorrow, Saturday, and then we'll get responses together and send them out to everyone. So the trip, the plan is for next summer, 2022, to travel to Europe. As you all know, we were looking at South America, but felt it best to go back to Europe. So we've been able to do that, been able to achieve a kind of replanning and restructuring of everything that we had in place for South America to now put it into Europe. And I can tell you there's no better destinations to go to than the ones we're going to go to on this trip, for reasons I'm going to put forth in just a moment. I know a lot of you know us already from previous trips or just through the organisation, but for those who don't, Encore Tours accompanies the Performing Arts Division of ACIS, which is the American Council for International Studies. We're a company that's been in business over 40 years, and we take about 15,000 people on trips every year in obviously normal years, of which about 3,000 of those are musicians like yourselves. Being a large company, obviously based over here in the US, we're also represented around the globe with offices in London, Paris, Rome, Madrid, and of course regional offices and partner offices, throughout the world: Asia, South America, South Africa, Latin America, and everywhere across the globe. 6 out of 7 continents. Not yet Antarctica, but global warming, maybe in 5 years, 10 years or so, we might be doing trips down there. So we're very much a worldwide organisation. But the most important thing about what we do here tonight is music, and obviously concert performances, and especially with an organisation like California Youth Symphony, because we need to provide the most professional musical experiences for you as young musicians, being the great talents you are individually and combined under obviously Maestro Isla's baton. So we want to provide the best venues, and most importantly, very importantly, bring in a lot of audiences for you to come and see you play, so you have that very professional experience of giving concert performances over in Europe. To do that, we need fantastic local music staff and promotional managers all around the world. And again, the places you go in: Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, second to none. Absolutely fantastic, as hopefully you'll see throughout the presentation. So our company motto, every company has a kind of motto, is travel changes lives, and we're all firm believers of that at Encore. We're all avid travellers, and in Encore musicians of various levels. And we all believe that travel changes your lives forever, and it gives you memories that last a lifetime. And as Haydn said, my language is spoken throughout the world. The universal language of music. It is spoken throughout the world. It's understood around the world, which really allows you as musicians to travel as part of an ensemble, as part of a youth symphony, and really get to know a deeper element to the places that you're visiting, to get to know the people through the concerts, through the audiences. It's such a great musical experience. It's educational because you're always learning. You know, the visits that you make, the tour managers that are with you, the local guides that take you on walking tours, bus tours, things like that. So you're learning all the time about the history of your destination, and obviously Eastern Central Europe, where you're going to be travelling to here. It's all very cultural, of course, because you're performing classical music around Europe. The social experience, both with, you know, foreigners overseas through the concert performances, the interaction after the performances, and very much within the orchestra too. You know, you might come to rehearsals, you know, every week and not speak, you know, the violinist might not speak to the percussion section or what have you for various reasons, I don't know. But on a tour, you get to know each other and other people in the orchestra and often become, you know, lifelong friends. So it's a great experience for that, for camaraderie, and for being a part of an ensemble, touring together, you know, around the world. It's a great experience. And as you can see here, from an experience like that, placing you into a venue like this and having incredible audiences watching your performances is second to none. And it gives you true life-changing value, both musically, socially, culturally, and as you change, obviously, from young people, young men, young women, in through college and later in life. And you'll always have that passion and love of travel after being on a CYS tour. So, that little introduction said, let me tell you where you're going. For those who don't already know, you're going to be traveling to the heart of Europe, now called Central Europe, but obviously at one point it was classed as Eastern Europe because it was all behind the Iron Curtain. It was part of the USSR, obviously, you know, communist, and very much controlled by Russia. So you're going to be going Czech Republic, right in the centre of the picture there, across into Poland, and staying in 2 cities in Poland, which is a fantastic country, and then travelling down through Slovakia, down into Hungary, and ending in Hungary and its capital in Budapest. The great thing about Europe, about this area of Europe, is clearly the buildings, architecture, absolutely beautiful. People, fantastic. Music lovers, so very much we can get, as I say, good audiences, people to come to the concert performances. And just having that whole rich experience. But very importantly, we can get great concert venues, much better so and easier so than in somewhere like London, you know, in Paris, something like that. You know, it's like going to Carnegie Hall. You're going to spend $55,000 or something to rent it for 3 hours. Whereas in Europe, you can get these top quality venues with such great historical importance. Obviously, not $55,000, a lot of money, but enough to make it worthwhile for a group of the size of CYS to have these great experiences. So that's why we look at a place like this, Central/Eastern Europe, fantastic destination. So the trip would start, the plan is we start on Wednesday, June 22. We alternate at SFO Airport and we board a plane just like this, like an A380 Airbus with Lufthansa, and then we fly overseas from San Francisco. I'll wave you off at San Francisco Airport as you go through security, and then you'll arrive the following day into Europe, somewhere like Frankfurt, change planes, and then head off to Prague, the capital of the Czech Republic. And you'll be met here by your tour manager, your tour escort, your guide, who's going to be with you throughout the whole trip. And most likely, 99% it's going to be Peter Eade, who's the guy on the right that you see there. A guy, as per his t-shirt, he knows CYS very, very well. He's toured with you multiple times before. He loves touring with you, loves working with Leo and Carmina, obviously pre-trip and on the trip. And he'll be the head tour manager. Because you're a large group, you have multiple buses, often 3 buses, there'll be 1 tour manager for each bus, and they will be with you throughout the whole trip, looking after you to make sure everything happens as it should. So they'll meet you at the airport, get all the bags, instruments, get you on the bus, instruments on the instrument truck, things like that, and then head off to the hotel in the capital of the Czech Republic. You check into the hotel, freshen up, unpack, obviously very tired, having travelled through the night, So freshening up is a good first thing to do. And then we'll head out into Prague. If time allows, we'll have a little walking tour, what have you, in the central area, and then head off for a welcome Czech dinner. So we're going to check in and Czech dinner all on the same night. And then before we head, after that kind of welcome dinner, welcome orientation, head back to the hotel because we'll all be tired and absolutely crash. So have a good night's sleep that night, that first night on Thursday, June 23rd, before the kind of tour basically starts on the morning of Friday, June 24, when we get to know the city of Prague and Europe. So you're going to wake up somewhat refreshed, have a breakfast at the hotel, which is generally a big buffet breakfast of hot and cold items, juices, tea, coffee, things like that, water obviously, and that happens throughout the tour, breakfast included and dinners throughout the tour. And then we'll head off into Prague. As you can see, an incredibly beautiful city, known for its spires, towers, its bohemian kind of architecture. As you see here, it's often referred to as the most beautiful city in all of Europe. So what a place to start. And what a place to start after, 2 years of kind of being locked up at home, if you like. Nowhere better than Prague in the Czech Republic. Of course, musically famous for his Czech composers, Antonín Dvořák, Bedřich Smetana. Here you see the Dvořák Hall on the left-hand side, built in commemoration of the great Czech composer, and on the right, the municipal house that houses the great Smetana Hall, again, dedicated to the great Czech composer. The tower you see in the distance on the right, picture on the right-hand side, is basically one of the old towers that used to have walls that surrounded the city, the central old town city of Prague itself. You got Wenceslas Square, and you see the good King Wenceslas from the famous, obviously, Christmas carol, well-known Christmas carol, that stands over and guards the square of Wenceslas. In Prague too, you got their famous Estates Theatre, beautifully renovated, as you see here, and it is here that Mozart himself premiered Don Giovanni. So, a guided sightseeing tour that we'll do in each of the 4 cities that you travel to. It's good to have a guided walking tour with a local guide, and so they can present all the local information, not just historical information, but cultural, social information, things like that, to give you a really good orientation of each place, and obviously the history and things like that. The great thing now is that we have Vox headsets, somewhat similar to this one, but smaller, where the lead guide would use a microphone and be able to talk to each of you through headsets. So you're not kind of bunched up, following around in little groups of, 20, 30 people trying to hear the lead guide talk to you. And often people couldn't hear, stuff. So everyone will get a headset, which is absolutely fantastic and helps with these guided tours. So we'll start up in the Castle District at the top of Prague. It overlooks the city of Prague and the old town. You've got a fantastic St. Vitus Cathedral in the heart of the Castle District, right here, surrounded by these castle buildings. See the Castle District and then head down through the narrow streets, down the side of the castle, down across the famous Charles Bridge with its great statues that line the bridge, and across the river Vltava into the old town of Prague. Beautifully iconic from these kind of terracotta style tiles, these Czech tiles that you see here, a kind of maze of streets and beautiful small streets that are obviously narrow, if you like, but high, because obviously space is at a premium, so the buildings tend to be higher as opposed to wider in the old town. So you'll walk across the Charles Bridge from the Castle District over the river, and then you'll head into St. Nicholas Square that you see here. You've got this great astronomical clock on the left-hand side, one of the oldest mechanical clocks in the world, as you head into this great square with the Tyne Church in the background with its iconic towers. You've got beautiful restaurants, cafes, all around the outside of the square. So it's a great place to have lunch and spend a couple of hours shopping and things like that. So this is the heart of Prague in its old town. After our guided sightseeing in the morning and a bit of time for lunch on our own or in small groups, obviously you never travel on your own per se, but obviously in small groups, we'll head off to our first concert venue. As I said, CYS, we want here to have the best concert venues, anywhere we go, and we do obviously the best for you. The first concert performance venue is here, the Dvořák Hall of the Rudolfinum. It doesn't get better than this. The iconic main venue of the city of Prague, absolutely stunning. And so we'll arrive in the afternoon our instruments will arrive, and we'll head onto the stage, and we will set up, rehearse to have a sound check before our performance that evening on Friday, June 24 at 7:30 p.m. And one of our local officers, our partner officers, is in Prague itself, so it'll be part of a concert series that we hold throughout the summer months. So we will generate a very good audience for you, which tends to happen in the past. So the first concert, June 24, 7:30 p.m. here in this iconic, beautiful concert hall right in the Czech capital. What a place to start. The day after, we'll then have a free time in Prague and basically have a full day at our leisure. I say at our leisure, but obviously you're not kind of wandering around by yourselves. Tour managers can give local guided tours or take you out to the Jewish quarter or some other area or things like that, and do some more kind of sightseeing with the tour managers and spend some time in Prague, shopping and seeing the beautiful old town as you see here. So great having that performance on the Friday and then just being able to relax and kick back and really enjoy the city on the Saturday as well. In the evening, we'll head off down to the river Vltava, we'll get on a boat and we'll have a cruise down the famous Czech river, passing underneath the various bridges and seeing the city of Prague illuminated by night. A beautiful place to be, one of the most beautiful cities in Europe, as I said, and no better place to start a trip for CYS's tour in 2022. After our first 3 nights in Europe, we're then going to board the bus, get our luggage and instruments, and then we're going to head east, further into Eastern Europe, into Poland, one of my favourite countries in all of Europe. Not overly touristy, which is fantastic, because it means that obviously, orchestras like CYS and what have you are very well received musically. And, people are always interested to see who's playing and where you're playing. So a great place to be able to travel. The people are absolutely fantastic. Clearly, for those who might know, Poland was somewhat overrun in its history. First by probably the Prussians, the Germans, and then of course the Russians during communism. And the people retained their independence somewhat, and certainly retained their allied partnerships with the USA, Great Britain, Europe, and so we've always had a great affiliation with Poland and the Polish people, which again makes it so worthwhile being able to travel there and perform for the people of Wrocław. As you see here, the name says Wrocław. It's like Wrocław, and later on in Krakow. So our first port of call is going to be Wrocław. We're going to spend 2 nights here. It's a smaller Polish town, absolutely stunning, as you see here. People who kind of drive straight past this from Krakow on to Prague and miss this incredible, beautiful little town. It's great. It's obviously halfway, basically, between Krakow and Prague, so great stopover, because doing the whole journey in one day would be too far. But it's also got a couple of great concert venues. So, and most importantly, great audience goers. So it's a really good place to perform and spend a couple of nights, or 2 nights, 1 full day. So you'll see all the various sites of Wrocław with the local guide, as we do in each of the cities. See this beautiful destination. Again, it's got a fantastic main square to it in the city, and some beautiful buildings that you'll see on your guided tour. Have some free time, as you see here, in the main square, typically European, as with Prague, surrounded by restaurants, cafes, and basically the heart of the city is always the main square, as traditionally through history was always the market square. So it's where people would come and bring their wares and sell them, what have you. So history has retained itself, if you like, because it's still the most popular place in all of the cities. Our next concert performance is going to be here in Wrocław on Monday, June 27th. A couple of options for the concert performance here. We're currently holding the Wrocław Music Academy, a great institution right in the city, somewhat of a Polish venue, or Eastern European venue, as you can see. But as I mentioned, has a fantastic audience attraction and a very warm reception from the local people. So you've got the Music Academy of Wrocław, as you see here, and you've also got the Radio Hall in Wrocław as well, which again is a great venue. Although last time I was there, which is actually in, I think, January of 2020, they'd actually put some structures onto the main stage and said they were going to be there permanently. It was very bizarre. I was turning it into a drama theatre. So the likelihood is you'll probably be here in the Music Academy, but this might be an option depending if they are changing what they have done inside the Radio Hall. But as you can see, beautiful location to be able to perform both options, the Music Academy and the Radio Hall. So that'll be the second concert in Wrocław before we head further east, travelling a few hours across to the city of Krakow, an absolutely stunning city and a real jewel not only of Poland but also of Europe. En route, however, we're going to make a very somber stop, and we're going to stop and visit the Auschwitz site to learn the history and obviously the reality of what happened in World War II. And so very important to remember and to not forget, and to have this somber and sobering visit. Obviously, many of the players will know through studies, and of course adults through studies in school and things like that, and be able to really bring it to reality and the heaviness and seriousness and tragedy of what happened here. A very important visit to make because of the history and importance. Never to forget and never to happen again. And that's why it's important to visit. After that, we will head off into the city of Krakow and look at it. Absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful tiled square, one of the largest squares in all of Europe. And we'll have the evening here. We'll check into the hotel and, of course, have a beautiful Polish dinner that evening. The following day, we're going to have our sightseeing of the city of Krakow, again, with local guides and our headsets. We'll see the great square I just mentioned. Probably one, it might be the largest actually, it's certainly one of the largest in Europe. You've got the fantastic market hall in the centre. As I mentioned, the squares are always where the markets were, where people will come and sell their wares and history. So a very beautiful, iconic building in the centre of which, inside of which, as you see here, is still full of stalls, albeit probably a little bit kind of higher, elevated in expense and other things. A beautiful hall to be able to visit and through. Krakow and is very famous for its amber, and so you tend to see a lot of amber and things like that being sold here in the market hall of Krakow. You've got the Great Mary's Church off the corner of the square inside, absolutely beautiful as you see here. And you've got the castle district that sits somewhat elevated above the rest of the city of Krakow. In fact, during World War II, there's a German commander here who was ordered to blow up everything in the city of Krakow, but he actually refused because thankfully he was a lover of art and history and refused to blow up the centre of Krakow. And so thankfully we have it to enjoy today, and you will next June as you tour around. You see the castle district and the walls that surround the city, the old town of Krakow, and the river that also goes around the city. You also pass by, hopefully, during the guided sightseeing tour, the old site of Oskar Schindler. And if you haven't seen it already, watch Schindler's List or something like that. That's a movie that this is where it was based, where Oskar Schindler basically saved so many Jewish lives in his factory. We'll have some free time in the city of Krakow, shopping, travelling around in various, small groups, have time for lunch on our own. Lunches are on your own throughout the trip. And you're always kind of giving advice on where to eat and budgets and things like that from your tour managers. Before we give our third concert performance in Europe, and it's going to be in the heart of Krakow at the fantastic Philharmonia. This is the prime venue of the city, and it's actually just recently refurbished. In fact, it was still being refurbished when I was there in January of 2020. So you'll be one of very likely one of the first youth orchestras to actually perform in here, in this fantastic building right in the heart of the city. Again, we'll have a great audience for you, great Polish audience, because not only do they want to come and see, obviously very importantly, you guys, see who you are, see the CYS, American Travellers, coming overseas and performing for them, but I'm sure they're very happy and eager to get inside this fantastic renovated building and to see such a wonderful performance in it. So this is where your next performance will be, in the Philharmonia, in the heart of Krakow. Brilliant. Afterwards, have a celebratory dinner in a Polish restaurant. And our final evening in Krakow. On Thursday, June 30, As we move towards the last few nights of the trip, we will travel south. As you saw from the map earlier on, we'll head out of Poland, travel down through Slovakia, stop on the way, most likely in Slovakia, have lunch somewhere in one of the small towns en route before arriving into Budapest. One of the iconic cities of Europe and the capital of the country of Hungary. Beautiful city. People tend to argue, what's the most beautiful? Budapest, Prague. Budapest, Prague. Obviously, you're going to do both on your trips. You'll get to see them both next year, next summer. So we'll arrive on the Thursday, check into the hotel. On Friday, we'll have sightseeing of Budapest. Budapest is basically divided into two cities. You've got Pest, which is the new city down in the kind of flat level area of Budapest. And then you've got the old town of Buda, which is what you see here in the background, which is the old town that sits above the city, the new city of Budapest. And in front of it, you've got the fantastic and iconic River Danube, the famous River Danube. So our sightseeing will show us the areas of Pest, such as Hero Square, Kossuth Square by the Parliament Building, beautiful Gothic structure you see there on the left-hand side, right on the banks of the Danube, the Opera House of Budapest, and of course the very famous Liszt Academy, founded by Franz Liszt himself, and St. Stephen's Basilica, the famous cathedral of Budapest. Before we head from Pest across the bridge through the famous Chames Lions and head up to the old town of Buda in the background there, absolutely stunning. As you see here, the architecture is so different from the rest. Typically being in Eastern Europe, you tend to get Eastern European architecture, always grey, concrete, very flat, ugly buildings, if you like, combined with this fantastic old Eastern European architecture, and especially here in Budapest, as it was in Prague. Absolutely beautiful, beautifully cleaned up with its tiles, as you see there. The old town of Buda. You'll see St. Matthias Church, which sits in the middle of the old town of Buda, with this beautiful tile roof, as you see there, and inside, absolutely stunning. The tile work and the architecture inside Matthias Church is unbelievable. You'll walk along Fisherman's Bastion, which is the fortified walls, as you see here, and from the turrets and from the walls, get a great view over the River Danube, the Parliament Building, and the city of Budapest. So we'll spend the morning touring, and then we'll have free time for lunch around the old town of Buda, most likely, which is one of the best places to eat, before we travel off to our final concert performance destination. Our final venue is going to be the Liszt Academy itself in Budapest. It doesn't get better than this. Definitely the most historical of venues in the whole city of the capital of Hungary. You start at the Dvorak Hall in Prague, you travel through Poland, you're ending in the Liszt Academy in Budapest. Absolutely tremendous. The best venues in all of Europe. Renovated, as you see here in the photo, simply stunning. So be able to perform here as young players in CYS, one of the best youth orchestras in all of the United States of America. You're going to perform here, and this will never leave your memory. It'll be an incredible experience, musically, personally, and professionally. So not a bad place to end. I showed this photo earlier on at the start of the presentation, just to give you a kind of idea of what's in store. And I'm sure many people might think, yeah, it looks fantastic. Well, but we won't be performing there. You actually will. So this is the final concert, Liszt Academy, Budapest. And actually the orchestra here that you're looking at is actually UC Berkeley, just up the road from you guys, who performed here a few years ago. So what a way to end. After all the performing's done throughout the Europe tour, we're then going to have a free day at the end to relax, kick back, celebrate Europe, and we'll head outside of the city of Budapest into the kind of Hungarian countryside region, if you like, called the Danube Bend, obviously the area that follows the River Danube. We'll stop at a couple of towns on the way. Szentendre, as you see here, famous for its arts, crafts, and folk people, folk music, and all things like that. Great place to spend, a final day shopping, bringing souvenirs back for your parents and family who have obviously contributed to send you on this wonderful trip. And also Visegrad Castle, in Hungarian history. We'll have lunch along the way, maybe stop at another couple of towns along the Danube Bend, subject to timing, before we come back to the city itself and have our farewell dinner with obviously gypsy music in Budapest to celebrate our last night and celebrate the tour that we've had throughout all of Europe. Gypsy music being obviously very prevalent and linked to the history of Hungary and neighbouring Romania. So here will be our final tour dinner. Thanks and awards from CYS as we celebrate our last night in Europe. Having had a great tour, hopefully some fantastic performances in iconic, beautiful venues before returning back on Sunday, July 3rd, back to San Francisco for most of us. Although if you want to travel further in Europe, you can do that as well. And again, there'll be more information coming out on that next week when we respond to all the questions that we get. And that's the trip. That's what we have in store. Hopefully you'll all agree. It looks absolutely tremendous. Not only for the places that you're going to be visiting, but most importantly for the concert performances and the venues that simply, you could, many groups could never get into, but CYS can, and we're very proud to be able to do that for you. So we hope you'll all join us next year.
Great. Thank you so much, James. That was a wonderful presentation, and I can vouch for him because we've done this before. Not to Poland though, but we've been to the Czech Republic, and CYS has traveled to Hungary, and they are fantastic places, and the halls are really going to be something truly memorable. And James has done fantastic work to secure these for us.
Yeah. Wow, we were planning too. You're not kidding.
There you go, the List Academy.
Got it. So yes, and this is be part of the first, because CYS has never been to Poland, so this will be a first for all of us. Definitely for CYS, and CYS has traveled to Czechoslovakia at that time back in 1974, and then again in 1994, and then that was Hungary in 1994. Then 2014 to Czech Republic. So it's nice.
And we were also there in '94 as well.
We were? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Carmina, do you have some more information that you want to talk about? I think.
Yes. So our cost, and because that is the big question, how much is the tour? So the cost is $5,800 per person, and that is also the same if you're going to be shadowing the trip. That is the same cost, the same. So now chaperones, we are in need of chaperones, and we are looking to at least have 12. And for chaperones, we are offering a 15% discount. We are vetting the chaperones, so in the coming days, I will provide you a chaperone questionnaire form that you complete and submit back to me. And then before we approve you, we'll review those forms. You'll also be going through a background check. So $5,800 is going to be broken down into a deposit of $2,000, and then the monthly payment starting in January, $1,350 for January, then $1,325 for February and March. So the last payment we need to have is March. So 15% discount, and you also have a cost. So we have two different types. You have the land and air, that is the $5,800, and then you have a land only tour. So for those of you who want to use frequent flyer miles, who want to purchase your own tickets and upgrade tickets for your musicians, although you can do that, we have a land only cost, and that
You save $1,300, Carmina.
Oh, I said. Sorry. Sorry. So 18. So let me start that. So it's $1,800 deposit. In January, the next payment is $1,350, $1,325 for February and March. There is a land only cost, and that is. Okay, that is $45. $4,500 for the land only cost. And then you also have the option, as James mentioned, you can extend your trip. So there's a different form. So on top of the registration form that you fill out, you'll fill out an alternate return request form so you can extend your stay, leave from a different city, right? James, you can leave from right where you want to.
Yes.
But again, what we're booking is the bookend trips. So if you're going to be leaving, for example, we're ending in Hungary, but you want to extend your stay in Prague and you want to leave from Prague, we're going to book your flight from Prague back to SFO. And that means you will need to find your own way to get from Hungary to your next destination where you go. And so we will outline all of this in our website. And in the portal, we'll have the page for tour information. So you'll have a copy of the itinerary, the registration forms that you can complete, and you'll need to fill out the tour rules form and a release of liability form as well. And we have, I believe that is it. We have a separate so in a cancellation process, we'll get more about insurance. We'll provide that to you in the coming days, next week. But we also have a CYS cancellation policy. So please read through the registration forms once it becomes available. Okay, I think that's it. We have fundraising.
Oh yes, we have our raffle. We should talk about the raffle.
Right. So we have fundraising available. We have raffle tickets that we have. It's $10 per ticket, and students can sell that. And half of the proceeds will go to CYS, and then the other half will fund your tour account. So we will have more details on that as well. So another thing is you'll also need to complete a new health form. And we are editing our health form, so even I know you completed one at the beginning of the year, but we will complete a new one because most families tend to change their insurance coverage at the beginning of the year. That is all I have. So we will have this information to you, and we will let you know as well what flights we're looking to get. I think James already has that information, right?
Yeah, we can, as we mentioned earlier, questions anything.
Yeah. So anything. So thank you for sending your questions in the chat. So we'll collecting that and then
respond to those. Yeah.
We'll respond. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And that pretty much concludes our tour presentation, everyone. Okay. The deposit is going to be due at the time you register, and we'll have more information when we need that because we need you. Okay.
Good. Okay. I think I could at least answer one question there about the instruments. The large instruments we do rent on tour. So things like string basses, a lot of the percussion section, the harp. I believe, James, we're doing cellos. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
And so I will be. I will. Well, I have to talk to James about that. But Carmina and I will be going over to Poland and Hungary in a few weeks after this concert that we have on the 31st, and checking out likely the instruments and the venues and the hotels and all of this, so we can come back and report to you on that as well. But yeah, the large instruments will be rented. That's the standard practice now as we go on tour. Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. This is a big year for CYS, of course, coming back after 19 months out and playing live concerts. It's the 70th anniversary of our organization, and we're going to have a very big spring celebration and reunion. Very big event. We have a new executive director, and we have a fantastic tour to some of the most really iconic places in Europe, which I am very, very excited about. So I think it's going to be a tremendous experience, really. And I really can't say enough about Encore. Encore has been just the most responsible and easiest to work with of any tour company that I've been associated with in 32 years at CYS. So I have full confidence that we're going to have another spectacular tour. So thank you, James. Thanks for coming tonight.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very beautiful. Okay, so Carmina, if you don't have anything else, and James doesn't, I think we can call it, and we will begin to work quickly and efficiently, because we really need to get going on the tour. It's coming up sooner than you think, everyone, okay? And we'll report back once we get back from Poland and Hungary as well. So with that, I want to thank everyone. Thanks, Carmina. Thanks, James, Judy, Shane, for being here, and we will be in touch. Okay.
You send me the email if you have any questions and you don't want to send them over to chat. That's okay. Send me an email, carmina@cys.org.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night. Thank you, James.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Julie. Hi, Shane. Don't want to end yet.